Hey, Apostate Prof is back. Oh, he's in his office now. He's got his own flex behind him. He's
I'm
serious.
sorry, I dropped earlier. I have no idea what happened. I was on my phone. I dropped. I don't know.
StreamYard doesn't agree too well with phones. It's a bit.
Yeah, it doesn't work very well. How are you guys doing?
Fantastic.
Alhamdulillah.
So I didn't normally want to come on the show. I decided that I should maybe just drop by because Hamza said I could come and present my arguments or talk to you guys, and he was saying that I'm just disrespectful and all that, and I thought, hey, why not just sit down and have a respectful discussion about things and present actual problems with Islam and why I have problems with Islam and so on. So I want to say that I find it personally a big waste of time to discuss theism and to discuss specific moral arguments, the societal expectations and problems and all that. I have my major issues. I always have had my major issues with Islam when it comes to Islam's scientific claims, logical claims, the historicity, how Islam integrates past religious beliefs and elements, and how it, in my opinion, corrupts them. For example, one of the major issues that I have is the Kaaba. And I would like you guys, I know that we don't have enough time to discuss that fully. I will have to go very soon. Sometime I have to deal with my children. But I have a major issue with the Kaaba because the Kaaba is at the center, at the core of Islam, of Islamic belief. According to the Quran, the Kaaba was the first house that was built for Allah. And it is right there at the center in the mother of cities, Mecca. And according to the Quran, again, Allah gave Abraham and his son the mission, Ishmael, the mission to establish the Kaaba for him, and then to set its final stone, and then to go out into the world and to tell the people to come to the Kaaba and to visit it and to circumambulate it and so on. So when you look at the Islamic narrative, what you see is that the Kaaba is a hugely significant thing, right at the core of Islam. I mean, everyone knows that it is right there at the core of Islam. The narrative is that Abraham himself was given the Kaaba and he was given the mission to spread the word about it. Yet when we look at the history of the Kaaba, we see that the Kaaba is not found in history. Christians and Jews, who were the people who ran with the Abrahamic tradition and history, had no idea what a Kaaba is until Islam came forth in the 7th century and started, becoming relevant in the world. So how do you guys exactly explain that, for example? Is that a discussion that you guys have? How does that exactly work? To me, it seems that... To me, it seems that the Kaaba.
Why does it bother you?
Well, because to me, it seems that the Kaaba is a pre-Islamic pagan
why does it
Arab.
Bother you? You're not a Muslim, so you don't have to believe it. Why does it bother you?
Well, because it proves Islam wrong.
How does it prove Islam wrong?
Because the Kaaba is, as it seems, a pre-Islamic Arab pagan element, which Muhammad simply incorporated into the Islamic religion. It has nothing to do with Abrahamic religion.
Can you prove that?
Well, you can you? I mean, it is very reasonable to come to the conclusion that it has no connection.
Well, no, you're making the claim. Can you prove it?
I can prove that it has no connection to Abrahamic religion.
Go on, then. Prove it.
Yeah, I can prove it. Here, it takes no place within the Abrahamic biblical scripture. It has no connection. It is not within the knowledge of Jews and Christians prior to Islam. There is the proof.
Well, no, that's not proof. That's an ad ignorantium fallacy. That's not. That's an ad ignorantium fallacy. That's not proof. That's an ad ignorantium.
Okay, how about you explain?
Well, no, you made the claim, mate.
Okay, I leave it to you. How do you explain it?
No. You made the claim.
Well, I would explain
it.
Okay. Well, you can let
but Hamza, I asked.
No, answer, but no way. Look. You made a claim. You brought your proof. Asadullah told you that's not proof. So have you got anything else?
Okay, I asked you the question, right? I mean, that was the initial thing that I did. I asked you the question. So the Kaaba is at the center of Islamic belief, and it makes certain claims about the Kaaba. But those claims, when you look at it, cannot be proven, cannot be properly verified. And yet the Kaaba is at the foundation of Islam. How do you explain that big lack of information, of evidence? How do you explain this huge gap between the Islamic Kaaba and Abrahamic religion, when Abrahamic religion evidently has nothing to do with the Kaaba?
What do you think the religion of Abraham was?
It's not rather. I mean, how is it relevant to the issue? How can you explain the thing? How
you're acting like Islam was invented in the 7th century.
Well, my question would be this: if you want to really go down that route, is why would the son of a slave woman be important to the Jews? Why would something established by the son of a slave woman be important to the Jewish tradition and the Christian tradition?
That's not the point, though. I mean,
because that's where the Arabs come from.
But it is Abraham himself. It is Abraham himself, isn't it? That who is given the task to establish this according to the Islamic narrative, and it is Abraham and his son who spread this whole thing to the world. And this is what Allah wants from humanity. But as you can see, for thousands of years, nobody even regarded the Kaaba as something important. Nobody even knew about the Kaaba until Islam came forth.
Again,
how does that make sense?
That's pointless to even bring up. I mean, it's a fallacious reasoning.
How is it fallacious?
I mean, it's an ad ignorantium fallacy. It's absence of evidence is evidence. It's not evidence of absence.
I mean, look. Even if
look, Ridwan, it's nothing to laugh at. That's a fallacious argument. That means that you're wrong.
It's not a fallacious argument. It is. I mean, it is a major claim that Islam makes about
Ridwan,
history of religion.
And yet
you see that
Ridwan. Let me just clarify a point that Asadullah just made. Do you believe absence of evidence is evidence of absence?
No. In the case of Islam, when it makes such a big claim, however...
as a principle.
Okay, can you please let me speak? In the case of Islam, when it makes such a big claim, which concerns the entire foundation of the Islamic faith, but this claim cannot be verified, and we have a lot of evidence to the contrary, such as that Abrahamic religion had no connection prior to Islam with the Kaaba, then I would accept that we have reasonable evidence to believe that the Islamic claim is false.
What you have is, even within the Islamic narrative, we have this understanding that the pagans changed everything at the Kaaba,
right,
and made it a polytheistic place of worship.
Can you prove that?
So let me comment on that, if you don't mind. After you finish your point, Charlie.
No, it's go on.
No, I was going to say exactly your point. Islam never makes the claim that it's been a house of monotheism since Abraham until Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We never make that claim. It is clear during Fath Mecca, right, the conquest of Mecca, or the entry of Mecca, that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam went in and destroyed all the idols. So we're telling you, you know this information because of us. We're telling you there was a house of idols. So obviously, for a long period of time, it was switched from monotheism to pagan belief, and they have idols. Now, if we entertained your question, right? Although the brothers already demonstrated that it's not really logical, okay? Because of your premise. But if we entertained it, you said Christians and Jews don't know about it. That's not true. Just because they don't believe it, for whatever reason, because otherwise they have to accept Islam, right? It doesn't mean it's not there. You know, the Bible, Psalm 84, talks about a valley of Becca, where there is a temple called Beit El, house of God, right? Where it is outside of Jerusalem, not in Jerusalem area. Now, throughout history, the Kaaba has been the only place of a house of worship that is outside Jerusalem. Now, some people try to say, oh, it has to do with the Temple of Solomon. Huge mistake, because Solomon is the son of David. This was a psalm by David, and at the time, there was no temple of Jerusalem, no Temple of Solomon. So the only place that was the worship of God, Beit El, is the Kaaba. And we have clear demonstration that David at the time was running from I don't know whether you know the history of whose Saul is and these people. He ran away from the king at the time, and he stayed there for a while. So when he came back, he wrote a psalm about how much he misses this place where people go in congregation to the house of God. The only place we know on earth that people go in congregation, and the word pilgrimage is mentioned there, by the way, in Psalm 84. The word people go on pilgrimage to a place called the Valley of Becca. Now, we know the name in Mecca is called Becca as well. It's mentioned in the Quran. And the Quran gets it so right, it's the level that when the Quran mentions Mecca prior to Islam, Allah refers to it as Becca. But when Allah talks about Mecca during Islam, time of the Prophet, he calls it Mecca because the name was changed. Now, there are plenty of references where you can find this information. Now we ask, where is this place? It's called the House of God. People go in pilgrimage. That is not Temple of Solomon, and that is a way that David has to come back and visit. So it is there. It's also mentioned in Isaiah 60, where people bring flocks of sheep to the sacrifice in Beit El, House of God. This is prior to the Temple of Solomon.
Okay, so one major issue here is that this is mentioned in the Psalms. It's a popular argumentation that is brought up. I already addressed it before in different talks. The issue here is the Valley of Becca. It says in that same in that same book. It mentions it in context with people going on their way to Zion, which is Jerusalem, which is a place in Jerusalem, at the center of Jerusalem.
That's not what Zion is.
Zion, according to the historical Jewish tradition, is the center of where God's representation of on earth is. It could be the tabernacle. It could be the room, and in the end, it was at the center of Jerusalem.
Yeah,
but that's the thing.
It could be the Kaaba.
If it can be more than one thing, the Kaaba can be included in that.
So
you mentioned that it could be
the issue is you brought up one thing, which is that outside of Jerusalem there is no such place. That is false. According to the Torah, Abraham built more than 4 temples on his path throughout the Middle East, throughout these places.
Including Mecca.
We have no record of him going ever down to Mecca. There is no such thing.
Okay, no problem.
Becca is also mentioned within the. Okay, just one moment. Becca is also mentioned within the Bible as a place that is has always known to be referring to a place surrounding Jerusalem. Now, if that one Valley of Becca refers to Mecca, and Jews had that book with them all the time, and this was so praised and sung. The Psalms are not a joke. I mean, the Jews have been singing that forever. Then why did nobody ever know about Mecca? Why did nobody go down?
They did. That's why that's why rabbis have converted to Islam.
No,
including the Samuel. Well, you don't know who these people I'm talking about. Including the Samuel, including even Abdullah ibn Salam, some of the Prophet, and many ones. Just because you don't hear about them, that doesn't mean it's not there. There were books. There is a book called Ifham al-Yahud, Silencing the Jews, written by a Jew who became Muslim. He was a physician, a scholar, and a rabbi. His name is Samuel. All right, wrote a book about this. So there are plenty of evidence out there. Just because you don't have access to them doesn't mean it's not there. Now I'm talking about a sanctuary, a place called House of God, in a place called Becca that is not in Jerusalem, where Dawood had fled, had to run away far from Shaul, from Saul. Now, what is this place that we're asking about? What is your evidence that this Becca that you're talking about around Jerusalem had a sanctuary? What is this sanctuary called Beit El?
So, let me read the part. I mean, Psalms 84:5. Blessed are those whose strength is in you, whose hearts are set on pilgrimage. As they pass through the valley of Baca, they make it a place of springs. The autumn rains also cover it with pools. That doesn't sound like Mecca at all.
No, that sounds like Zamzam. That sounds like. Wait a second. See, you don't know the difference. Historically, you should know this. There is a well there.
Of course, but that doesn't sound like a place of springs.
Safa and Marwa. No, listen to me. There's a well there. Right, that's what it's talking about. It's giving you an indication of a place called Becca, right? You know, falsely, a lot of people try to translate it as the valley of weeping, the valley of cry. This is all false because there is a noun. It says ha Becca. There's a definite article ha, which is like ton or ho in Greek, and then Becca. So it's a noun of a place that has a sanctuary. It's been there forever, and there is a well there. You just mentioned it, and a place for pilgrimage. Mecca fits the criteria 100%.
I don't think it fits it at all, to be very honest.
Give me a place.
It fits very many places around Jerusalem.
Name one.
Geographically, in general, it is geographically much more.
Name a place that fits that criteria.
I don't have to name a place. I'm saying it is the region is.
You do have to name a place.
Can you listen to me? It is geographically much more suitable to what is being described here than Mecca is. What you are arguing here is that Kaaba or Mecca was addressed here in this Bible verse, in these Bible chapters, and yet people have completely lost the connection to it. We have no connection to the Kaaba at all. If you look at the history of the Kaaba, up until 2 or 3 centuries before Islam, we have no record,
because it turns to House of Pagan. Because it turns into House of Pagan. We already told you that.
How do you have proof for that?
Because the Prophet Muhammad, when he walked in, he destroyed the idols.
Okay, do you have proof that it was turned into a pagan house by people?
Yes.
No, you don't. Where's the proof?
Listen to me. Listen to what I'm saying to you. We're telling you right now that even the Bible, affirm that Ismail and Hagar went to the wilderness of Paran. Now, every single rabbi, every learned Jew will tell you that Paran is the Hijaz, where Mecca and Medina is. That's true.
That's not true. They will say that the Paran is south of the Israeli borders. It will start up at the east of Egypt down to the Arabian coasts.
Okay, fine. That means Hijaz is included.
Yeah, Hijaz is a very general term. You're talking about Mecca, which is so far away.
Okay, which means logically you can rule out Mecca. Do you agree?
You could consider it as part of, possibly as part. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. So thank you for being honest about that. At least all I'm saying is you can't exclude it. Now you agree.
Okay, sure. Yeah, fine.
So far, so now we agree, and then the Kedarites grew up there. Kedar is the second son of Ishmael, based in Genesis 25. Right? They grew up there. Okay. Now we know historically, even from Isaiah 60, that it talks about a place where people, the Kedarites, bring all their flocks to the house of God to do sacrifice. Now today, that the only sanctuary that celebrates the idea of the firstborn of Ibrahim being saved by God, right, via another sacrifice, an animal on earth, is through Muslims. Where? In Mecca. Christians don't celebrate it. The only people that celebrate it, keep that tradition, are Muslims. Show me a place where the Jews and Christians celebrate this idea of the firstborn being saved. You will not find it. But we do have a place called Mecca. Fits the criteria, has pilgrimage, it is south, and what do you call it? And also, you mentioned the well. So far, all the criteria are there. So denying it will be literally going out of your way.
No,
you want to hear it.
There are a lot of wells throughout Arabia and a lot of wells throughout the Middle East.
Name one well by the house of God in Hijaz.
I don't have a name for a well. We know that there are a lot of.
So why would you make a claim?
Why do you keep saying there's different places and different wells and you've got no evidence, no name?
Because I'm saying.
I'll be honest with you.
Because I'm saying there is a well down there is not proof that this corresponds to that. There are wells everywhere.
Can I be honest with you?
Sure, go ahead.
This is not some ad hominem or anything. But honestly, I thought this is the first time I speak to you. I thought you would be more sophisticated.
I am. I think you're just copying out of these things.
No.
Khalil, just because you respond to something, just because you make a refutation, a response, that doesn't mean you have destroyed and the person in front of you is illogical and this and that. I mean, the vast majority of biblical scholars will never agree with the idea that Mecca is Mecca. They will never agree with the idea that Quran is down there. They will never agree with the idea
every single scholar agrees Quran is there.
They will never agree with the idea that.
How about this? On this platform, I'll quote quotations about scholars. You bring quotations from scholars. You want to do that?
No. The vast majority of biblical scholars will never. Is this a lie? The vast majority of biblical scholars will never ever agree that Mecca is.
You keep making claims. You keep making claims about Quran.
This is very obvious.
No, it's not.
You keep saying these things.
Okay, sure. Here.
Many places,
one example.
Many wells. You're so wishy-washy. Can you be kind of definitive?
Are you guys trying to say that it is absurd to claim that the vast majority of biblical scholars do not agree that Mecca is Mecca?
So
can you answer that question? Can you answer that question?
I'm going to answer you right now. Look.
Can you answer that question, please?
I'm trying to. I've studied this subject matter. Now, with all respect, you clearly haven't. You've probably heard some things.
Can you please respond to the question that I just asked?
Just be patient. Be patient.
You're not answering the question. Can you please answer the question that I've asked?
I'm trying. Give me a chance. Relax. It's okay. We're having a conversation.
Sure.
Look, I've studied subject matter, and I can tell you right now, and I'm making this statement right now, that unanimously all scholars agree about one thing. They don't know what Mecca is. They don't know. No one has ever made a claim that we know exactly where Mecca is.
Okay, was it my question?
I can give you listen to me. I can give you a quotation right now of 30.
Was that my question? Because that's not what I asserted. What you objected to, because what I brought up was that the vast majority of scholars will never agree that Mecca is in Mecca. That is not the conclusion that they come to. Is that false? Is that an absurd claim to make? Do you agree that the opposite is true?
So there are rabbis that agree. First of all, I don't know if you know this. The Samaritan.
That was not my question. My question was: is it absurd to claim that the vast majority of biblical scholars will?
No. That's a fallacious argument. Already,
that's what the argument was.
No, it's fallacious because you're saying the opposite of what I'm saying in another way. Look, I'm telling you right now that they don't because two things. Listen to me why. First of all, they're biblical scholars. These people are Christians and Jews. So it is. Listen to me. There's always a component of bias that they're not gonna say, well, yeah, that is the place, because next thing you know is shahada. Okay, that's number one. You have to admit this fact. That's number one. You have to admit. This is common sense. That's number one. Number two, there are rabbis whom you can consider scholar, non-scholars, and academics who say, actually, yes, Ismail is definitely the son of Abraham, and they built a place called Mecca. Otherwise, where did it come from? Why would Muslims invent this?
Okay,
I'm telling you.
How about this proposition?
Now to answer your question. I'm about to answer your question.
Okay, sure. Go ahead.
And now what I told you is when it comes to the name Mecca, many people have falsely tried to like deviate from the meaning of it, and instead of habaka, keep it a noun, they changed it to like a verb, weeping or something like that, just to like run away from it, to not admit that it's actually Mecca or Becca. Right now, most scholars, I haven't heard of any scholar, and I've studied this. I can tell you about 30 quotations right now. They agree they don't know what it is. They do not know. That's what their statement is. We don't know. We think there, we think here, but there's no definite agreement. There's no agreement. So you can't bring an argument saying like somehow you have some positive claim, like, no, this scholar say this, it's in Jordan, or it's in Switzerland. We don't know.
Okay, here are two issues. I said that the vast majority of biblical scholars would never agree that Becca mentioned in the Bible refers to Mecca. There's just too much evidence against
because they don't know.
What you are doing,
you're not getting it.
Okay.
Don't know.
What you are doing is, I mean, you are very haughty with your attitude, but what you are doing is to say they are biased, which is why they will not agree. But then you go ahead with your Islamic bias and argue that the Valley of Becca definitely refers to Mecca.
But he give you his reasons as to why.
He didn't give me reasons. I mean,
There's
a spring and there's a place of worship.
Look what I did. Listen to what I did. I haven't used the Quran. I haven't used the Sunnah. I haven't used some Islamic history. I'm telling you through the Bible what we can observe today, right? There is a sanctuary, a place called the House of God, or Beit El in Hebrew, right? Where people go in congregation, do pilgrimage. And the Bible says that this place will be open forever. It talks about the new Zion. It will be open forever. Now, we know historically speaking that Mecca, since the conquest, it has been open as the house of God.
Where does it say that?
It says that in Isaiah 42, it says that in Isaiah 60, and it says that in Psalm 84. There are multiple places where it says that people go there in congregation. The only place on earth that talks about and celebrates the saving of the first son of Abraham, which we believe is Ismail. Even the Jews and Christians believe Ismail, the first son. Of course, they believe that the one sacrifice is Isaac. That's a whole different subject. We're not going to talk about it right now. But the idea of Abraham's son being saved, a place that celebrates it, where people do pilgrimage, where people bring animal sacrifice for the house of God, is the only place on earth, and it's called Becca, in the desert. Only place on earth is Mecca today. There's no other place. Show me a place where a place called Becca has a sanctuary related to saving of Abraham's first son, where people go in pilgrimage. Please.
It doesn't say in Isaiah that this specific place where these specific people live will be a sanctuary.
I just asked you a question
forever, for all time.
I don't know if you heard my question or not, but show me please.
No, if you misrepresent the entire premise, then the question doesn't really make sense. The Bible doesn't say that the place where these specific people live will have a sanctuary that will last forever, where you will be safe. Where does it say that? Give me the quotation. What does it say that? It even says in Isaiah 42 that the Lord will come forth and he will fight them. And it even the Bible even makes a reference to fighting the Hagarites and the Ishmaelites.
You're talking the Bible like a Christian. Do you believe the Bible's a reliable source of information?
No. That question makes no sense, because my argument.
Because here's the thing you see. You don't believe the Bible's a reliable source of information. We don't believe the Bible's a reliable source of information.
Then
so why do you think that's a standard of truth?
Then why do you bend it and give it as
no?
Proof?
Why you'll bring it?
I don't. No, I don't.
I'll make it easy for you.
Hamza,
I don't care. Okay, I'll make it easy for you. I'll make it easy for you. Yeah, I don't care whether the Bible mentions Becca or not. I don't care.
Okay, sure. But then what you are saying is that there is no solid proof.
No, what I'm saying is absence of evidence or evidence of absence. That's what I'm saying to you.
No, what you're saying is that there is no solid proof that the Kaaba has any connection
let him out. I know you want to say it.
Go ahead.
What? Are you talking to me now?
Yeah.
Okay. No, I just the whole, for me, the whole entire argument's already based on a faulty premise. I mean, the thing is, I don't even see why we're entertaining it. As I said, it was a fallacious argument, and the thing that I want to bring up as well is, like, you know, there are a lot of things in the Old Testament that aren't mentioned in the New Testament. Explicit doctrines of Christianity. Are you willing to make the same argument for your Christian fans that Christianity is false as a result of that?
What does that have to do with the topic?
That has everything to do with the topic, because you're saying the absence of something being mentioned in the tradition equates to its falsehood.
I'm not saying that. What
yes,
I'm saying is that if you are making
the Kaaba was not mentioned in the tradition, therefore it makes Islam false.
In a way,
correct? That's what you said. That's what you said.
It points at it. I wouldn't say
No,
that
no,
it's,
no, no,
it's,
no.
that
There's
it's
no
absolute
point at it.
proof.
It's either false or it's not false. You don't have the in-between.
Asadullah, if I make such a major claim, and there is
What claim?
no evidence which backs up my claim.
There is evidence.
There was a lot of evidence contrary to it.
Were you listening to me?
I mean, we have heard your evidence about Becca.
Were you listening to me?
It's laughable.
Look. I'll tell you what's laughable. Listen to me.
Okay.
No, one second.
You have a very hostile attitude. Can I respond to Asadullah, please?
1 second, please. I'll tell you what.
I know you will go ad hominem. I don't care. Can I respond to Asadullah?
I'm not interested in going ad hominem. I'm not interested. What's laughable? It's okay. Just relax. It's okay. I'll tell you what's laughable. You come onto this platform with zero evidence about a place that meets the criteria of Mecca and you want us somehow to entertain.
I don't need such evidence. It's ridiculous. The entire point of bringing up the Bible,
name a place,
make Bible verses as evidence for this is ridiculous.
I'm gonna buy a shirt. I'm gonna buy a shirt that says name a place. That's what I'm gonna do. What
we have, Asadullah, is your religion, your religious book comes out and makes a major claim and builds its entire foundation.
Okay, what is the claim in particular that you want to? I want to hear exactly what you meant. What you mean? What claim specifically?
The claim is that this is the first house built for Allah, and Allah specifically gave humanity through Abraham and Ishmael the mission or the responsibility to go out into the world so that people come to this place in worship every year. Now, of course, we know where this comes from because in Muhammad's time, in his surrounding, the people were surrounding the Kaaba, and that was very significant to him. Unfortunately, in the history of humankind in anthropology, the Mecca has no significance. The Kaaba has no significance. I'm getting to it. Please listen. I'm getting to it. What we see is that it has Mecca has no significance, the Kaaba has no significance, and all of this has no relation at all to Jewish and Christian history.
Yeah, so why would it have any relation to Judaism, Jewish history?
Because
the Kaaba as relevant to their own religious practice.
Because it should be relevant according to the Quran's claim.
What?
Because this is the major place of worship, the major house established for Allah, which Allah had established, the first major house in the mother of cities, so that humans from all around the world would come and gather around it. Why has this no relation, no knowledge, no familiarity to Christianity and Judaism? Why is it completely absent from that?
He give different shariat to different groups.
Is it different people? Was Ishmael Jewish? Was Ishmael Jewish?
That's an absurd question. That Jewish.
It's a straight question.
No,
was he Jewish?
Jewish is not something that existed for Ishmael. That's an absurd question. It doesn't make sense.
Right. So he wasn't Jewish, was he then? And Abraham obviously wasn't Jewish.
Okay, but the Quran's claim is that Abraham and Ishmael were given this.
But they weren't Jewish, were they?
Okay, and the Quran accepts the vast history of, or tries to accept the history of Jewish biblical tradition. So
no, but the point is the other way around,
people are supposed to be the same people who are guided by Allah.
The problem you've got is this: the Quran's the word of Allah, the Bible's the word of Jews.
Okay, Hamza, but you have this. You have many prophets, figures that are mentioned in the Quran who are seen as rightly guided, sent people by Allah in order to convey Allah's message.
Did you just hear what I said?
Okay. Can you please let me speak? Who convey Allah's message to humanity? It references
them.
And these people were with the Jews the entire time.
Right.
And they came after Abraham. And yet the Jews, despite this history and despite Allah's wish that all humanity comes to Mecca, to the Kaaba, Jews have no idea and Jews have had no history with the Kaaba. That's irreconcilable.
Does all humanity go to the Kaaba?
No, but that's not.
They're supposed to.
I mean, that's not part of their.
Well, they do, don't they?
They're supposed to. They don't. They have only after the emergence of Islam.
Yeah. So, what's the problem with that?
Well, the problem is it's not reconcilable. I mean, it's very obvious.
You just said it's supposed to be for all people.
Need to be. I don't understand.
The Quran gives Abraham and Ishmael the mission to spread this to the entire world so that everyone comes. This is the major place. This is the mother of cities.
Where does it do that?
And yet it has no history within Christianity and Judaism.
Where does Allah say about Abraham and Ishmael were sent to the whole world? Where are you getting that from?
Yeah,
I didn't say they were sent to the whole world. I said that they should spread the word that people all around the world come to him.
It's exactly what you just said.
Yeah.
Did I say they were sent to the world? Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
You did say that. Yeah.
That's not what I meant. The issue was.
What did you mean then?
That it was the first house built on earth for Allah by Abraham and Ishmael, and they were told to tell the people from around the world to come to the Kaaba.
You said it again. You just did it again.
Isn't that
tell
what the Quran
people
says?
from around the world.
Sorry,
how is Ishmael and I? No, 1 second.
If I need to make a correction,
I'm going to tell the people around the
It might be
world.
an issue of semantics, because if it is the first house built to mankind, you have to understand the Jews did not believe their religion was for mankind. The Jews' religion was for them, themselves, just themselves alone. Their ethnicity, their pilgrimage site was Jerusalem. They didn't. I mean, there's no need to reconcile this, right? I mean, that's.
You know, I made a point earlier. I don't know whether it went through or not. What I was saying to you earlier is that the claim that's made by the Jews and Christians is that this temple, this Beit El, is the temple of Jerusalem. Right? Temple of Jerusalem. Who built the temple of Jerusalem? That's the temple of Solomon. Now, it can't be it. It can't possibly be, because the psalm is written by David. David is the father of Solomon, which means the temple of Solomon wasn't built yet. Therefore, there was no sanctuary at the time. You get it? The only sanctuary that was, it must have been built before. Now, we know Ismail and Abraham built it. And another thing, the temple of Solomon, right, even though it wouldn't exist at the time because he wasn't even born yet, it would have been in Jerusalem, obviously. Now, David, if you read this psalm, it talks about how his heart and his body yearn this place. He misses it so much that he wants to go back, which means Dawood has been there before. Now he's writing a psalm about a place that he missed. Now, had it been in Jerusalem, as the Christian Jews say, then he would have just gone to it. This is clearly a place that is far from Jerusalem. You have to read the context. He misses this place. Now, we also have evidence from 1 Samuel chapter 21. It says that David ran away from Saul. He was trying to kill him to a place that is far. And he went in congregation to a place in Paran. So we already have evidence that David stepped out of the area of Jerusalem, Palestine, and went deep somewhere else, far. Now, it made sense that he would have visited that place. He took it as a place of refuge, and then came back. And when he became king again, he wrote a psalm about how he missed that place. So it can't possibly be the one in Jerusalem. You get that part? He's talking about a place that is not in Jerusalem because he misses it.
What you're implying is that it's a place that is merely of some significance that he visited, but and yet it has, as it seems,
and he prayed there.
No universal significance to the Jewish religion at all, as it seems.
It does,
because they completely disconnected themselves from it. How?
No. Okay, look. Here's what you need to understand. What
we have is that it is mentioned. Okay, please.
I'm trying to answer you.
I just listened to you. Let me add to the point.
Go ahead.
What you're saying is that the Kaaba is mentioned, or this place is apparently mentioned in some part in this book as a place that is of significance, that was visited, that is a sanctuary, and so on. And yet it has apparently, as it seems, no major significance to the core of these religious beliefs. So apparently it did matter.
I got you.
Apparently it did matter to them, contrary to what we have said earlier. It did matter, and it was relevant and important to them, but it also had no universal central relevance, as it seems, because it's only a place that is now far away that he misses. How does that make sense?
So here's the deal. Just because something mentioned in the Bible, it doesn't mean that's what everybody agree upon. Let me give you an example. Christians and Jews, they read the same Bible, right? And even in Christianity itself, you have Trinitarians, Unitarians. They read the same Bible, but they understand it differently. Do you agree with this part or no so far?
Sure, yeah.
Good. Now we agree that you can read the same passage, but you have different understanding, despite being even the same religion. Despite believing that Jesus died for your sins, Unitarians see he's not God. Trinitarians see that he's God. Now, same thing happened. Imagine now we're talking about things that are more ambiguous. Names of places that can be mentioned here and there, and that are even older, way older. Time of David. Not even time of Jesus, time of David. So it makes it more ambiguous to have different opinions about things. So it is natural to have people have different understanding about what Becca is. So this does not refute our point. Now, the second point here is that, again, I have to bring up this bias perspective because it is true. We can't hide from it. It is true. And I admit, everyone has some sort of bias in them. But it is true. They're not going to go and admit to you, oh, yeah, well, it is Becca. It is Becca. Oh, and Prophet Muhammad, yep. He just stick shahada and start laying up. Of course, we're not expecting all of them to do that. But however, historically speaking, we do have rabbis, we do have scholars who actually read these passages and immediately believed in the Prophet Muhammad and wrote books. Now, it's up to you whether you wanted to grab that book and read it for yourself and I give you references or not. But just because you're making that claim, just because Jew or Christian today doesn't agree with it, it doesn't mean it's not there, because they themselves disagree upon things. Allah said that in the Quran. They read the same book. and they both disagree upon it.
Okay. Do you agree that it's also possible that you yourself have a bias toward Islam, which is why you conclude that Mecca is Mecca?
Of course, there's a bias in Islam, but I don't base my whole argument against bias. I'm not going to be honest with you. Of course, because Allah says in the Quran that the Prophet Muhammad is there. So, of course, this is some sort of bias because I already
Can I ask
believe
a simple question? Can I ask a simple question?
Sure.
Could the Bible be wrong?
Yeah, sure.
Well,
Ooh.
there you go.
Okay.
Well, there's my answer. Bible.
Why is it an ooh moment? Of course, yeah.
Well, if the Bible's wrong, then it doesn't matter what it says, does it?
It could be, yeah, but that's not my point. I mean, my
Well,
point
no,
is
it is
that-
the point because
I mean-
that's your standard of evidence.
I mean,
Why is it not in the Bible? Why is it not in the Bible? Well, the Bible's wrong, mate. Now what?
What is with your attitude, Hamza? I don't get it.
Well, I think I knew you were going to come on with nonsense,
Khalil,
and you confirmed what I thought,
Khalil,
and you've been rinsed with evidence. Your responses are so wishy-washy, and now you've just accepted that the evidence you brought to challenge to Islam, you don't even believe it is accurate
that's not the evidence that I brought. That's the evidence that
Yes,
you
it
have
is.
proposed.
Yes, it is.
which I
Where does it
argue.
say in the Bible? Where does it say in
No,
the Bible?
no,
It's
no,
your
that's
evidence,
not-
mate.
that's
It's your
not what it is.
standard.
That's not what
Yes,
it is.
it is.
Hamza,
Okay,
for
take the
somebody
Bible off
who
the
has
table.
a place called
What's
the
the
arena
claim?
where people are supposed to tackle your ideas, you have
No.
a very,
But
very
you come
hostile
on.
attitude.
You come on with an evidence you don't even believe in.
It is an arena.
Was I the one?
It's an arena.
Those things as an evidence.
You're the one who
Was I
brought the
one-
Bible out. Where in the Bible
No,
does it say
no,
that?
was I the one who brought that evidence? I was.
So let me answer you. Let me answer
I
you
said
about
that
that.
Christianity and Judaism have no connection, no historicity to this at all. Anthropology has no historicity to Mecca or the Kaaba
That's
at all.
not true. That's
Khalil,
not true.
Khalil, what
That's
you're
not true.
saying is
Let me answer
what you're
you.
saying is that people might have a difference of opinion or of understanding of a certain thing that they read.
Do
But
you agree
that's
with
not
that?
what
Do you
this is
agree with
about.
that? Do you agree
Oh,
with
yes, of course I agree
that?
with
Okay, so one second.
Of course, it's very normal. But what we have is not a difference of understanding.
One second.
I'm talking. I listen to you.
No, I'll tell you why. Because look,
Sure.
we're trying to have a
Right.
discussion. Because if you go on for too long, I'm gonna miss things. If I go for too long, so feel free to interrupt me. I don't mind. By the way, I don't mind.
I
As
take
long
that
as we have-
sacrifice the entire time. But you go
as
ahead.
long as we have civil conversation. Look,
Sure.
you agree so far that you have a group of people reading the same book and might understand it differently. You already said yes. So
Of course,
this
yeah.
argument itself refutes everything you're saying because
No,
you
it's not.
agreed.
That was never my argument. I
Because
don't
look,
understand why-
let me tell you why. Because there are Samaritan Jews, for example. Have you heard of Samaritan Jews?
Yes, I have.
Okay, they have Samaritan Torah. It's actually which is older than the Masoretic text and all. Right? They actually believe that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the prophet. The only difference, I don't know if you knew this, the difference is that they believe he's the prophet only for the Arabs. They're like, that's fine. He's a prophet, absolutely. It's just we have our own Torah, we'd have to do it. And then they live throughout Islamic history, fine. They have their own laws, they have their own courts, no problem at all. So now, and they believe that Mecca is a sanctuary place.
You know, we also have the Ahmadis who believe that Buddha is a prophet, but
No,
disregard them as heretics or kuffar. So.
That's a deflection.
But how is that irrelevant?
That's a deflection. That's a
No,
deflection.
that's the
The point
exact-
is that he's
How is that
making
a-
here.
how is that a
The
relevant
point
point?
he's making here, which is so stupidly missed, is the fact that the same people who are
Everybody
reading
sees
all
it,
the
right?
biblical
and
texts.
then it's always me who is the offensive one. Please.
Yes. So basically, he's just exposed to you that people reading all the biblical texts are happy to concede the Prophet Muhammad's a prophet. Why? Why is that?
People, you're talking about specific people. We're
Jews.
not talking about everybody who reads this. We're talking
People
about
who
specific
read this Bible that you've come with evidence which you don't really believe is true. People who do believe it is true have concluded that the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings upon him, was a prophet.
Okay, I'm showing.
Now
to
you saying Ahmadiyya and Mirza Ghulam, whatever, is irrelevant.
That's deflection.
Hamza,
That was deflection.
do you not believe that? Do you not think that my comparison to
No, it's
Ahmadis
pathetic.
or others is a point to
No,
show how
pathetic.
to show how
No.
absurd that claim?
No,
No,
pathetic.
no. Okay,
It's
hold
a
on.
complete deflection,
Ahmadis
mate.
believe that the Buddha was a prophet.
It's a
Look,
complete
It's
deflection.
Deflection.
I'll tell you
Deflection.
why.
No,
I'll tell you
it's-
why.
It's a
I'll
comparison
tell you why
to
it's a
show how
complete
absurd the
deflection.
claim is. Just because some people
I'll tell you why it's a
something,
complete
that doesn't mean it's
deflection.
true.
Okay, I'll
Yeah,
tell you
sure,
why
go
it's a
ahead,
complete
go ahead.
deflection. All right, I'll tell you why it's a complete deflection. Because you've brought this Bible to the table as if it supports you, even though you don't even accept it. Yes, you did. Don't shake your head. This is what you brought. Okay, where in the Bible does it say this? Where in the Bible does it say that? All right. Now, what my brother Khalil just did, he's shown you that there are people who were reading the Bible, older text than what the Masoretic text is, and they've concluded that Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was a prophet of God based upon what they read in their Bible, but he's just a prophet to the Arabs. Now, you banging on about Ahmadiyya is a complete deflection rather than addressing that point. So just address that point.
It's actually a very logical comparison to show how absurd
All
the
right.
claim is. But
I'll be honest with you, my brother.
I've
decided you don't have logic, mate. You don't understand logic. You believe absence of evidence is evidence in absence.
Never said that. Hamza, let me correct you.
How is it absurd? How was my claim absurd? How? Did you want me to hold on? Did you want me to tell you that unanimously every single human being?
Can I please speak?
You are going to speak.
I have been listening here to your ramblings and to his insults for quite a while now.
Rambling. Okay, no problem. Go ahead.
Can I please speak?
No problem.
It was never my intention to come here and say, look at the Bible. The Bible says this. How can you refute this? That's not what I did. What I said at the very beginning is that Islam makes a claim about the Kaaba at its core foundation, and the Kaaba is entirely disconnected from Abrahamic tradition and history and from human.
How do you know that?
From historicity in general. Well,
how do you know that?
We have talked about the evidence. I did
not.
No,
the evidence is the Bible, mate. So don't act like you didn't come with the Bible.
You brought zero evidence. Zero. Zilch.
Apart from the Bible.
You brought zero evidence.
I mean, you can't really present evidence for something that doesn't exist. There is no connection between Abrahamic religion and
I'm asking you where is the sanctuary? Listen to me. Here's the problem. Here's the problem with you, bro. You're making a claim, but you don't have anything to stand on. It's like you're just in the air, flying, like floating. Like you're not really standing on anything. I'm asking you, where is the place on earth, a sanctuary, that commemorates and celebrates the saving of the firstborn of Abraham, right? That happens to be called Beit El in Hebrew, Beitullah in Arabic, right? That happens to be in the south, in Zion. By the way, Zion doesn't mean always Zion. It means also desert, by the way, the wilderness in Hebrew. There's Zion and there is Zion.
In the context, it's very clear what it means.
Exactly. That's why you find in ancient translation, in Isaiah and many places, they don't translate Zion as Zion. They translate it as the wilderness. Okay, so this is something you gotta check out. The word Zion has two meanings, by the way. Right? In Zion, sanctuary, where people go in congregation and do pilgrimage and house of God. And it's outside of Jerusalem, not in Jerusalem. That someone has to actually go far, run away from the king, Saul, to get to it. Now we're telling you that this place actually exists on earth, and a prophet of God happened to come out of there, right? And made that claim. Now, unless you believe he's a time traveler, he went back to the book of Isaiah or something and inserted it. You know, wrote about Mecca, wrote about the Kaaba, place called Mecca. If you believe that, we can discuss time travel, no problem. But so far, we do have a place. You don't have a place. You literally just throw in stuff in the air without providing any evidence.
No, it's probably because I don't necessarily memorize or remember the specific places where, for example, temples were built. How many temples did Abraham build according to the Bible?
Look, name a place.
Can you answer the bloody Bible? Leave the Bible alone. You don't believe in it.
Hamza, that's your evidence.
We don't believe in it.
I'm responding to you.
We don't believe in the Bible. You don't believe in the Bible. So the Bible is not a standard of evidence in this room.
You just talked about logic. I am responding to his evidence. Can you?
Yes, I know, but you just brought the Bible against the table, which you don't believe in.
Yeah, because he presented the Bible, and I'm attacking his evidence right now. Can you please allow that? Khalil, how many temples did Abraham build according to the Bible?
No, let's just.
Can you answer my question? How many
temples
did Abraham build?
I asked you the question. No, I'm not going to slide with that. It's not working. Sorry, not today. Watch this.
It is completely related to the topic. How many temples did Abraham build according to the Bible?
No. I asked you the question. Name a place.
I don't know. Okay, I don't know.
Thank you.
Here's my counter question. Here's my counter question. How many temples?
What do you mean you don't know? Then why are you making the claim if you don't know?
Because you are clearly saying that this is not in your favor.
I'm giving you the place.
How many temples did Abraham
listen
build
to yourself?
To the Bible?
I don't. 20 million. Who cares? I'm giving you a place that matches the criteria. What are you talking about? That's deflection. Listen. You're missing the point.
Can you name another place that matches the criteria?
Can
you name another place?
I don't think.
No. So what is your argument about?
I don't think.
Can you name another place?
I don't think that make a place.
What is your argument about?
I don't know where it is.
Can you name another place?
I don't know where it is. I don't know the place. I don't think.
What a coincidence. Fine, that's fine. So what a coincidence is this? What a coincidence. A prophet came out of a place, Mecca, right? Who happens to be called Becca, even in Akhbar Mecca, in our historical books that we have through our tradition. Place in Mecca used to be called Becca. We know that for sure, right? And a prophet happens to come out of there. Surprise, surprise, happened to have a house of God, right? Well, historically, it's saying that Muhammad went and destroyed the idols there and returned it back to what it was, monotheism. Happened to be there. Yeah, surprise, a prophet of God, David, writes about a place where he went to when he ran away and he went back to his place, Jerusalem, and misses this place. Remember, Temple of Solomon was not even existing yet. The only sanctuary place that was existing is in Mecca, which David talks about in Becca. I'm giving you all this, and you come in here telling me
what you're referencing is your big proof is a mention of a place called Valley of Baqa, which they passed through on their glorious walking through to the house of God.
Now walking, pilgrimage. No. That's not funny.
They passed through it.
You're laughing at yourself.
That's what it says.
You're literally laughing at yourself.
No, I'm laughing at your stupid logic. The Psalms literally says they walk towards Zion.
Because
that's
it says
what it
pilgrimage.
says. They walk through the Valley of Baqa. They walk
So
look.
Here's your problem. Name a place of pilgrimage called the house of God, right? Outside of Jerusalem. No, so he doesn't mention the criteria because
the Valley of Baqa is not outside of Jerusalem. It says they passed through the Valley of Baqa while they go to Jerusalem. Do they pass through Mecca to go to Jerusalem?
Listen to this. David is a king. That's his kingdom. He's right in the Psalm. You see, the problem is, look, you don't speak Hebrew.
And where was his kingdom? Listen
to me. With all respect, this is not an attack. Honestly, it's okay. You don't speak Hebrew. That's fine.
Can you add to that? Where was his kingdom?
Listen.
Just add the detail. Where was his kingdom?
You're not gonna learn ever. That's the problem. You don't listen.
No, I'm asking you to add to your.
You will never learn.
Okay,
you're never gonna learn.
Go ahead, explain.
You don't want to learn.
No, go ahead, explain. I want to learn. I just think make false.
Then listen. Listen. It's okay. It's okay to not know something. It's fine. You can learn it. That's fine. That's all right. You clearly don't know the subject matter.
I mean, I don't think you are very genuine in your approach. But go ahead, sure.
We haven't given it. Okay. Well, let people decide.
I think you're very dishonest. Sure, go ahead.
Okay. What am I dishonest about?
I think you're very dishonest in your approach. You're very biased. See how red you get when what
am I dishonest about? What am I dishonest about?
I think you're very dishonest about your Islamic beliefs and premises in general. I don't think you have any reason to believe that the Valley of Baqa refers to Mecca, which is absurd. Mecca has no historicity at all.
How am I dishonest? Did I provide
historical source? Yeah, I think you refuse to see the evidence. That's what I think.
Okay, what is your evidence?
The evidence is that Mecca has absolutely no records in history and no significance at all.
That's a lack of evidence.
That's not an evidence.
No, that is evidence.
Oh my God,
there is no evidence to it as a significant
place. This is bad, man. I really thought you'd be more sophisticated. I really thought you'd be more sophisticated philosophically. At least knowing some rules
of course.
Listen.
I think I'm the only person who is honest about this.
I really thought you have some rules about mantiq and logic.
I do.
You're all over the place.
I think I've completely.
You don't even know the difference between positive claim and negative claim.
Khalid, can you explain to me where exactly in anthropology is Mecca?
Why are you asking me questions when I ask you to give you criteria of a place and you can name it, and you still stand there telling me that
I already answered that question the first time. I don't know what that place is. It's a random place.
Stop. What's the bad time? You don't know the place.
I don't know the place.
And I told you already, I can quote for you right now 30 scholars, biblical scholars, who say we don't know where Becca is.
Okay, but sure. I don't know where it is.
Wait. But there are some rabbis actually said, yes, the only one that makes sense is Mecca today, because it has a sanctuary. They do celebrate the birth of Abraham's son when he was saved, and they do bring sacrifice to the Beit of El. Some rabbis actually agree with this.
Okay.
And the rest of them, including Christians, they say we don't know.
Okay.
So
the
now,
vast majority of rabbis also agree that the Quran's account is false.
Wait, that's a different argument again. I'm talking about particular point. That's a deflection again. See, you're deflecting again.
No, but what I'm trying to say is appealing to certain people does not prove your point.
Look. I provide plenty of evidence. Just look. You don't even have to keep being atheist. I don't even know whether you're Christian or atheist, but that's fine. It doesn't matter. Just looking at this from an objective perspective, neutral, right? Yeah. If you take the data, collect the data, like if you're in an academic setting, university, take the data, you have a geographic location, you have a house that existed there, you have a place for pilgrimage that still exists today, and you do exactly what's mentioned there outside of Jerusalem, because David's writing the psalm about a place that he missed, so it cannot be Jerusalem. And you can eliminate immediately the temple of Jerusalem, which was built by Solomon, and this is David speaking, who was the father of Solomon. He wasn't even born yet. So he didn't have a sanctuary there in Jerusalem. They didn't exist. The only one that existed is in Mecca. So I'm providing you this evidence, but yet you're not even willing to say.
So let me rephrase your argument.
I'm not done yet. I'm landing. 1 second.
Sure, go ahead.
Now, here's how I know you're not genuine. If you were genuine, you would have said, you know what? You presented something. I might not agree 100%, but you did bring up criteria. It is my duty as an honest individual, an academic, to take the criteria, study the subject matter. We can have another talk about this. But you didn't do that. You immediately went in defensive mode, and when I asked you for evidence, you said, I don't know. Because
you're insulting and condescending. I will tell you what I think.
How am I insulting? How?
How many times have you said you are ignorant? I don't think you are honest. I thought you were more sophisticated. I thought you were this and that.
That's not insulting.
That's not part of the discussion. That's not part of the discussion. Stop. That's an ad hominem approach.
It's not an ad hominem approach.
It has no. It has no relevance. It has no relevance to the topic at all. Let's talk about the subject matter. You did that in the entire time. People can see it. I'm trying to not do it.
Look,
but I'm a human as well. Okay. Let me respond to the point.
Ridwan, all you need to respond to is
name
a place.
I have already responded to that, Hamza.
Name a place. Understand?
I have already
responded to.
You have not.
First thing, try to explain why do rabbis say this is Mecca?
Why do the vast majority of
why do rabbis say it? Why do rabbis say it?
How many rabbis say it?
Why do rabbis?
There's a good reason why.
What's the percentage of rabbis among rabbis who say it?
If one rabbi says it, why is one rabbi saying it?
Yeah.
Why?
Why
they put the bias aside?
Why
do they put the bias aside and they realize there's nowhere else that fits the criteria? So it's
Hamza,
very simple. Ridwan, name the place that matches the criteria. And if you can't name another place that matches the criteria, then you're in no position to say Mecca doesn't match the criteria. You're in no position to do that.
Okay. Well, can I rephrase? Can I summarize what I think Khalil's argument is here? So what I did was to say, hey, the Kaaba is completely disconnected from historicity and from Abrahamic history. It has no place in it at all, as we can see.
So that's false. That's been refuted.
False.
I'm trying to explain what the premise is. What
but we're just going to refute.
Okay. It has no significance in anthropology. It has no connection to Abrahamic history. Is what I said. Okay. False. Can I please go ahead and summarize your argument? You appear very bad here right now. Okay. Your response to that was yes. It is connected to Abrahamic tradition, and I can prove it because there is a certain thing called the Valley of Baca, which apparently refers to Mecca, and you cannot prove that it refers to anywhere else besides Mecca. And my proof that it refers to Mecca is that there is a well and a house of God in Mecca, which means it refers to that place, and that's the absolute proof that it is connected to the Abrahamic religion. That was your entire premise. If I did anything wrong, if I did injustice to your premise, to your argument, point it out, please. But that is exactly what you did. Your argument is it fits the criteria of having a spring and a house of worship, and that's why it is Mecca. Great.
So generally, if I said there's a place with Big Ben
was that wrong?
and a London Eye, no, if I say there's a place with Big Ben and the London Eye, and where's in the world matches that criteria?
That's terrible logic.
Wait there. It could be London. Wait. Stop. There might be another place that has Big Ben and a London Eye. That's your argument. Pathetic.
Can I tell you what the correct analogy would be? The correct analogy would be that there is a tower with a
Ferris
clock.
wheel. Yeah,
that would be the correct analogy.
Okay. But then if Mecca does fit that, right, and even if then, and we make it more vague like you just did, and we say that there's a Ferris wheel and a big clock.
Okay.
Now, to say that London fits that criteria isn't false.
Not entirely, yeah.
Right.
Good.
So
So
now the question is right, if there is a list of criteria, a list of characteristics of this place, and we can offer you one, that being Mecca, you can't dismiss it. You can't say that it's a ridiculous argument because there's a criteria that's been given, and this criteria is met by Mecca. Now you can offer a counter suggestion and say, well, it could be this place, it could be that place, it could be that place. Now, if there's a fief and there's a lot of evidence, and we've got video footage of a man with a blue top on and green pants, and he's got a particular weapon in his hand, and then later on we find a man who's got a blue top and certain pants, and he happens to have this particular knife, and we say, well, we have this man here, we think it's him, it matches the criteria, and we can't find anyone else who matches this criteria. So we've got good evidence to suggest that this is the person. Now, if you then come along and say, well, no, there could be other people with blue tops and green pants. So, well, who? I don't know. It could be. It's possible. No one's going to take that opposition as a serious counter.
Okay. what I think? If we had a text which suggested, which was about, let's say, Berlin, okay, it's about Berlin, and Berlin is a center of entertainment, and we read a text from this place in Berlin, from this club in Berlin, which says it's really enjoyable that these people, when they come to our place of entertainment, pass through the secret bridge, okay, and now we go through the geography, and we find that there is also a certain secret bridge in France, right at Paris, where people also go to a club to have entertainment at the center of a cult. You cannot say, well, okay, that fits the criteria, which is why
let me respond to that very quickly.
Basically what that is.
Let me respond to that very quickly, okay?
Sure.
See, you're not being genuine here. Everyone,
Please stop that, Khalil. I'm trying to argue with you.
Let me tell you why. I'm gonna back up my claim, unlike you. Now everybody can witness this, because now the example you gave. Okay, don't get frustrated. It's okay. Relax. It's the conversation.
Okay, but if you go with personal attacks, every normal person will be really frustrated.
It's okay. It's okay. Don't be frustrated.
Just before you speak, Khalil, I'm not going to speak. Just before you speak, everybody in the chat, thumbs up, thumbs down. Do we get rid of him? Go on, carry on, Khalil.
Okay. Thank you. All right. So look, you made it seem like it's the example you drew has nothing to do with what I've been talking about for the past hour. You and I. Okay.
That's because it's an analogy. Sure. Go ahead.
Okay. No, it's a very false and short and disgenuine analogy. It's not very genuine, because you made it seem as some bridge that you pass by to get to some club or some cult. If that happens, we're not going to see this. Of course not. We're not talking about a bridge here. We're talking about geographic location at a place which happened to be sanctuary, which happened to commemorate and celebrate the saving of the firstborn of Abraham, which happened to have people do sacrifice there because of this reason, which happened to be place for congregation of prayer, which happened to be called Beit El or Beitullah, which happened to also be a place for the word pilgrimage is used there in the Psalm. Literally a place for pilgrimage called the house of God that is outside of Jerusalem, and I explained the reason why it's outside of Jerusalem. I give you 5-6 criteria about a place that exists today, and a prophet came out of that area and happened to be in the Bible for some reason.
Okay.
You're dismissing all this. You make it seem like, oh, but if I pass by a bridge to get to a club, I'm not gonna say this is ridiculous.
Okay, can I give you a final response to why I disagree with that, which I already did earlier?
Do you mind if I add as well?
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, because it's related to it. So you also asked, well, why are there no rabbis that are saying this or Christians that are saying this today? Well, they have good reason not to, because if they do admit to this, then they need to become Muslim.
Exactly.
Now,
that's one thing.
I mentioned that to him.
But you've already said that. Okay, so that's it is. Are you telling me that's not a good reason? Because it's the same with regards to, you could make the same claim with the Muslims. You say we have good reason to, like, sort of be motivated to believe that this is Mecca.
I think the original point was that that there is no historical reference to the Kaaba or any significance in biblical tradition and scripture at all, except a vague reference, apparently.
What's your criteria? I want to know your criteria. Fine, I apologize. I'm sorry. Go ahead. But what is your criteria of historical evidence, please?
Okay. What it looks like is you have a vague reference within biblical scripture to a place, and you connect different puzzle pieces in order to make it look like this is Kaaba, Mecca. First off, when we refer to...
What is your criteria?
Can you please let me explain? When we refer to...
We have a name. We have a name, for God's sake.
When we refer to Becca, Valley of Becca, Becca is once mentioned as a random battlefield along the places where the kings...
It's a place for pilgrimage.
And once it is mentioned as a valley that people go through while going to Zion. While going to Zion.
That's not what it says. No. That's not what it says. That's the problem.
It literally says in Psalms 84. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, it doesn't say that.
I will look it up.
The problem is that you're reading it in English. That's the problem.
Okay. If I'm wrong, I will correct myself right here.
What language are you reading it, first of all?
English.
What language? Okay. Which book are you using?
Blessed are those whose strength is in you. Whose
wait. NIV, KJV. Listen to me.
Okay, I'll go to KJV. I was just reading NIV. Let me go to
Listen to me. What all is saying there, passing through a place to get to this place. Okay. Amaq, that means like a deep place, also means like a valley. That's what it is. Same cognate in Arabic. Amq, fi amqi, inside, somewhere deep. Okay, describing the place. People go to it in congregation to do pilgrimage. What's in this place, Becca? Something called Beit El.
Okay, I was speaking. You interrupted me. Let me ask a question.
Can't be bothered. Sorry, mate. Thumbs up and thumbs down have given away.
Can I respond?
So I'm going to get rid of you.
Can I talk now?